Today's video is brought to you by one of the best websites on the internet for all things news and information, and that is patriotpost.us. There is a link for them in the description box, so we head on over there, check them out, and subscribe. Tell them that ABL sent you. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today I bring you a recap of the most recent Democratic debate, this time held in Charleston, South Carolina, ahead of the South Carolina primary, which will be Saturday, February 29th, 2020. Yes, we are in a leap year. Now, the Democratic presidential hopefuls on stage included Elizabeth Warren, aka Pocahontas, Pete Buttigieg, Joe Biden, Amy Klobuchar, Bernie Sanders, Mike Bloomberg, and Tom Steyer has returned. He was not at the debate in Nevada, which was the previous one. He was replaced with Mike Bloomberg, which made for a fantastic debate. This debate was good, but not as good as Nevada. And I think the reason for that is because there was no real moderation. There was no real control here. This debate was on CBS, and right away you saw the diversity. You had two female moderators, one of whom was Gayle King. Shout out to her, fresh off the whole Kobe Bryant kerfuffle, but that's a different story, and I digress. The point is that you had diversity straight from the jump. And they tried to put ground rules in place, talking about, oh, you're going to have 1 minute and 15 seconds for answering the question and then 45 more seconds to respond. I mean, that whole thing went out straight from the beginning. It was a dumpster fire. It was like Super Smash Brothers. It was a melee. There was no real control at all. Okay. I barely even heard the moderators try to interrupt anybody. They just let them pretty much get into the cage and fight like the old school WWE, ECW, but I'll move on. Anyway, straight from the beginning, they were talking about like black issues, because let's not forget, in South Carolina, 2/3 of the primary electorate for the Democrats are black folks. So the black vote is very important there. And they were talking about some cliche things. They're saying stop and frisk was racist, of course, trying to attack Bloomberg. Everybody on stage did that for the most part. I think Warren was talking about that as it relates to Bloomberg, and others are talking about it. And then the whole thing of reparations was brought up by Tom Steyer. And that is the emptiest promise any politician ever gives. Oh, reparations, this and the third. It ain't going to happen. Klobuchar was talking about trying to expand Section 8 and welfare. It's like, that's not really going to get her done at all. Joe Biden was talking about the black vote, saying that he will win South Carolina. He's doing very good with the black vote, although he's slipping in the polls. I mean, just last year, I think in December, he was at like 44% in South Carolina overall. And now he's at like 27%. The last poll I saw with Bernie being at 23%. So he's slipping really hard, and he did not do himself any favors in this most recent debate. People were talking about, oh, he looks good. When I say people, I mean, like, you know, some of the mainstream media on the left. Oh, Joe Biden looks good. He looks strong. No, he didn't. He looked as weak and fragile as he always does. This is a recurring theme. Just the other day, he said that he's running for the Senate, and if you don't like me, vote for the other Biden. Who are you talking about, sir? Who is the other Biden? Hunter? Jill? I think his wife did run. I'm not really sure. But aside from that, this is 2020, sir. You're in South Carolina. You're trying to become the president. You've not been in the Senate since 2009, when you were inaugurated with Barack Obama, when he became the 44th president of the USA. You don't know what's going on, but I digress. The point is that Joe Biden didn't really look good. Bloomberg appeared to be kind of, like I said in the previous recap, that's just a manager type guy. He was being asked questions about stop and frisk and just other things. He kind of come off as a manager, not really anybody that's has any kind of, how can I say, personality. No je ne sais quoi to them, but he has the kind of authoritative figure personality, if that makes any sense. Speaking about authoritative figures, Bernie Sanders was grilled over his comments relating to Cuba and, you know, the reading program doing very well, this, that, and the third. He doubled down on it, talking about, well, I'm not praising the Cuban government, but I'm saying that the reading program is like, all right, okay, we get it. But I mean, that doesn't make any sense to try and praise the Cuban government and the Chinese government and, you know, people like that, because what you're doing is not necessarily just praising the things that they did well. You're praising the government style. You're praising communism because you are a commie. So I'm glad that he was brought to the table and called out over that. It was hilarious to see Klobuchar call out Bernie over his plans, talking about how much they're going to cost. I mean, she really just stuck it to him.
They are not with you on spending nearly $60 trillion. What I think we should do is make things more affordable, nonprofit public option, make sure we're paying for long-term care better, take on the pharmaceuticals like you and I have done together, and do something for the people of America instead of a bunch of broken promises that sound good on bumper stickers.
Wow. Right. Wow.
First of all, let me go.
At certain points in the debate, they were actually booing Bernie Sanders. He was, having an exchange with Bloomberg. He's talking about billionaires, all this, that, and the third. He got booed on that. He was like, oh, what? Excuse me? And then after the debate, he was saying, well, the reason why I got booed is because there were some operatives in the crowd and you got to be wealthy. He was saying that to buy a ticket, you got to spend $17,000 for one ticket. I don't know if that's true, if that's false, if that's the price for just any ticket, wherever you are, or to be like right on top of the stage. I don't really know how that works, but that's what he said. It could be some operatives in the crowd. He should have done like what Donald Trump did when he was getting booed, when he was debating at, I think it might have been in a hangar or something, and Jeb Bush was right beside him. He should have been able to call him out right there on stage rather than wait until afterwards and halfway doing it. And that is kind of the general vibe I got. The candidates on stage are all bark but no bite. They were asked, hey, if you were to become the president, what would you do about North Korea, China, sanctions, this, that, and the third, but we don't want to have any war. Basically, we're not going to do anything. I'm not a fan of war, don't get it twisted, but the way they were talking is like, well, I'm not really going to do anything. I'm not about foreign policy, just whatever they want to do. They can come over here, just drop whatever they want to drop. They can drop toxic waste in Washington, D.C. on the White House lawn. I ain't gonna do nothing. That's pretty much the vibe I got from them on stage. And if I were to be up under them as, they're the president and I'm just a constituent, I would not feel very safe at all when you're talking about national affairs, let alone international affairs. But I digress. The point is that they were not really strong on foreign affairs at all, let alone in any kind of way, in my humble opinion, knowledgeable about foreign affairs. I got to go back a little bit here and talk about Joe Biden. Now, I'm not quite sure at what point in the debate this was. It could have been towards the beginning, towards the end. But he said since 2007, there have been 150 million deaths due to gun violence in the U.S. I'm like, sir, that is almost half the U.S. population. I don't think there have been that many deaths due to gun violence, but we'll move on. Pocahontas was kind of quiet here, but she did attack Bloomberg, saying that he allegedly told a female staffer to kill it when he found out she was pregnant, allegedly by him. Bloomberg immediately said, that's not true. I never said it. It didn't happen. Not one of these, I can't really comment on that. There's an NDA involved, is that and the third. He categorically denied it right there on stage, but she said it. Could be true, could not be true. I don't really know, but it's kind of weird how she would bring that up when people on the left don't even see a baby as anything. When you say kill it, what are we talking about here? Kill what? Clump of cells, right? But again, I'll move on. Pocahontas repeated a lie about her being fired from her job at a school because she was visibly pregnant. That did not happen. She resigned from that position. So why did she keep talking about being fired or not being renewed or whatever? She resigned. How can you say that you got fired when you did not get fired? It just doesn't make any sense. It's a lie. She lies a lot. She'll tell a lie pretty quickly. She's not averse to lying at all. So just on the strength of that, I don't trust her. Aside from, being a Democrat and having things in her policy that I don't agree with, the lying factor kind of rubs me the wrong way. Gayle King asked Amy Klobuchar a great question about the coronavirus. She was saying, hey, would you close the border due to coronavirus concerns? Amy Klobuchar, ducked and dodged and hemmed and hawed. It was like she was in the Matrix, dodging the bullet. Speaking of dodging bullets, like the Matrix, Bernie Sanders was asked about his views on AIPAC because he had called them bigoted before. Again, like the Matrix, dodging, didn't want to answer that question. He diverted to the government of Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu being a racist. I'm not really sure how he was a racist. I mean, what did Benjamin Netanyahu do that was different than the guy before him and then the guy before him? I mean, I don't understand what's really going on. Why attack him for being racist? It seems like that's kind of the neutral ground. Because what's happening right now on the left, there's a big anti-Israel movement. So you're Jewish and you lived in Israel if you're Bernie Sanders, so you can't just ride with that. At the same time, you can't just totally ignore them, so you have like the little middle thing. Well, I don't think Israel's bad, but Bibi's bad. You want to just pawn off in the government rather than going all the way and saying Israel as an entire country is bad. Now, at the end of the debate, everyone gave a closing statement, and then they went to another commercial break. I'm like, okay, what are we doing here? Everybody wrapped up. You should be saying, okay, it's been great. Good show. Thank you for watching. It's 10 o'clock p.m. That's the time it's supposed to be over. They took a break and then came right back and then said they were going to leave. It's like, okay, you're just trying to milk ad money. That was pretty gross. Overall, the debate, it was entertaining from the viewpoint of it being a dumpster fire. There was no real cohesion. It was a cage match, WWE, ECW. It was a big mess. The Nevada debate was much better than this. But what do you think? Do you think this was a good debate? Who won the debate in your humble opinion? I don't really know in this one. If anybody, I'd probably say, I don't really know, honestly, because last time it was Pocahontas. This time she didn't really speak too much. Klobuchar didn't really speak too much. I can't really see that there was a clear winner. Trump obviously is going to win all the debates because nobody on stage is as strong as Trump is right now, let alone Hillary Clinton in 2016, and she lost. So these debates are really just trying to see what the future of the Democratic Party is going to be. If you select Bernie to be the candidate to go up against Trump, that's going to have a lot of impact on the Democratic Party that will not just simply be losing an election. You're going to lose regardless, but there's going to be other things that happen. You're going to lose a lot of seats in the House, the Senate. You're going to lose seats there. You're not going to succeed overall going forward for years to come by what you do right now as far as the nomination process. But I can't wait to see what they're doing. Again, the primary in South Carolina is on Saturday. Super Tuesday is next Tuesday, March 3rd. There's another debate, I think, on March 15th. And I think at that point, we'll see who the nominees are going to be. That's in less than half a month. That's like, 2-3 weeks from now? I can't wait. But whatever your comments are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.